Keep putting yourself out there. These last few weeks have been a whirlwind, if you would, for myself. I had ULW for a week, and then I was home for a few short days, and then back out to North Carolina to go to a good friend of mine, David Albin's Firewalk Academy, to learn how to facilitate and lead some firewalk experiences, glass walk, board breaks, aero breaks, all of the like. And those things have been things that I've incorporated into my events that I've had Dave Albin lead himself through my experiences. And I'll continue to have him come and show up and do that. He's the best in the world. He worked with the likes of Tony Robbins for years, and NASA and Google, and you name it. He's worked with some big time names and companies when it comes to creating some really revolutionary experiences for people and their teams and companies. But why I say keep putting yourself out there, it's just the connections that I've made, the opportunities that I've had. And oh, by the way, yeah, so I came home a little bit early from North Carolina, and then that next day had the opportunity to go speak to over 200 student athletes at a community college locally here close to where I live. And my kids got to come and see me speak. So again, when you reflect as you go on, which I think it's extremely important to reflect and to celebrate and to take note of where you are and how far you've come. And every time I get a very cool, amazing opportunity to get in front of people and to do what it is that I love to do, I can't help but reflect on how far it is that I've come. And then you start to think about how that's all happened, right? Because there's no real roadmap, especially for what I do. For certain professions and industries, there's definitely career tracks, right? You know, to become a doctor, there's absolutely a roadmap and steps that have to be taken that cannot be skipped, and they're very similar for pretty much everyone that becomes a doctor. And so to be a coach and a speaker is a little bit different. Had a dream in my mind from a young age, watching speakers and performers and entertainers come through our schools to do just that to us as we were growing up, and just remember thinking, man, that would be so awesome to do that. But how do you do that? How do you create that? And luckily I've had some great mentors and coaches I've invested in. I've had some great friends give me some great advice. And one of the best answers that I can come up with is I've just continued to put myself out there, right? You want to speak more? You want to, get paid to speak and to inspire and motivate others? But no one's going to hire you because they don't know who you are. They're not going to pay you because you haven't really had a lot of experience. Why don't you go out and create your own event, right? There was a good friend of mine, Ryan Hamilton. Shout out to Ryan. He was a guy that kind of gave me that advice one time, and it made total sense. Why don't I go do that? And I went and did that, right? And I've invested in coaches and mentors that has brought me in circles of people that I would never had been in if it wasn't for those investments in myself. That's the whole reason I met Dave Albin. It's because I invested in a coach named Joel and Allison Williams to help me speak, because I wanted to, hone in on my speaking skills and craft so that I could get out and start to become paid to go out and speak for an hour to 2 hours to a group of people. And through meeting Joe and Allison, outside of like getting better as a speaker, I got a wonderful connection with Dave Albin. So, those types of stories I could go on and on about, but there's just the power in putting yourself out there. And why is it so powerful? It's so powerful because there's plenty of opportunities for me to talk myself out of every single one of those, right? At the Firewalk Academy, there were 3 other people there, and they all had excuses and reasons that were really good and valid and viable on why they didn't want to come and show up in North Carolina in West Jefferson, really in the middle of nowhere, but beautiful country, amazing country. I'm so glad that we did it there. They all talked about it at the event. For whatever reason, they were able to act in spite of those thoughts and stories they had inside of their head, and to actually show up. And they were so thankful that they did. But how many times have you talked yourself out of something and not shown up and regretted it? Or you don't have the regret because you don't know exactly what it is that you missed. But I guarantee you, every time that I've been to or had an event or an experience myself, and people decide to show up and put themselves out there, never once Did they regret it? And always the comment has been, man, I'm so glad I showed up. Man, I'm so glad that you called me and talked to me and worked it through with me to show me why I need to be here. And it happens every time. But if you're not willing to put yourself out there, if you're not willing to do that mental work with yourself, to fight through the resistance, to show up, then you're going to be stuck where you are at. And, you know, that's okay if you're fine being where you're at, but most of us are not. We want to grow, we want to have new experiences, and we want to continue to get better. And the way that we do that is we put ourselves out there. We put ourselves in difficult, uncomfortable situations that force us to grow, right? What does not challenge you will not change you. So that's my message for you. Continue to put yourself out there. Love you guys. Let's go.